No.
Did
You
you
guys are
find
talking
it?
now. You're supposed to
Okay.
remind me. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, there it goes. All right. So Summit, I'm excited. Excited about Summit, all the plans. Just a lot of good stuff happening. So if you guys are not yet set up to go to Summit, set yourselves up to go. It's not too late. Um, and that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to share. And I wanted to now open up and move into the meat of the call, which is investing in your challengers. Hold on here. How do I? Okay, forget it. You guys are done here. All right. So tonight I'm going to be talking about investing in your challengers. Why is this important? Well, I was having an interesting conversation with Tony, as a matter of fact. And this was actually, I spoke to her after I had already chosen the topic, but I decided to put a little bit of a spin on it. And the reason why this is important to invest in your challengers is because for many, many reasons. First of all, our challengers are what pretty much is why our businesses are thriving. It's because we're signing up customers, we're signing up challengers. So why not put your all into what we do, which is running our challenge groups, right? I know that a lot of times, and I know that this is stuff that you guys know, but I think that a lot of times we get caught up with other things. We get caught up with, maybe our own fitness. We get caught up with our day-to-day lives. We sign somebody up. Maybe we send them that welcome email and we just kind of put them in a challenge group. And I think it's kind of easy, especially if you're signing up a lot of people. It's kind of easy in a sense to, like, if you see that they're doing really well, to just kind of maybe focus your attentions elsewhere. But I never, ever want you to forget how important it is to invest your heart and your soul into your challengers for so many reasons. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that as we continue to move forward. So, by example. Leading by example creates trust, and your challengers will have faith that you're leading them down the right path. Now, what does that mean exactly? If you are asking them to eat clean and following a nutrition plan, then you should be following a nutrition plan and eating clean. If you're asking them to exercise every day and to post every day, then you should be doing the same. Because in terms of earning that respect from your challengers, it's going to build that trust. It's going to help you build that relationship with them because they're going to see you as them. They're going to be able to relate to you, and putting yourself out there in terms of your struggles and your challenges. I'm very quick to do that, which is why I have a really good group. And it's because they know who I am, and they know that I'm not perfect, and they know that I have the same challenges and I face the same struggles as they do. So make sure that you're leading by example. And a lot of times they might not tell you this, but they're actually going to pretty much do what you're doing, right? So if you're not posting on a daily basis, if you're not commenting on their posts, they're not going to do it themselves. If you're not posting what you're eating, they're not going to do it either. Pay attention to that. Go into your group and kind of watch your girls, see what they're doing. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself first. So what does that mean exactly? You have to be doing your workouts. You have to be a product of the product, right? So before you can go out and represent the company, represent what we do, you got to make sure that you are doing what you're asking them to do and that you're taking care of yourself first. And it's the whole, saying of put on the oxygen mask before assisting others. You guys have heard that when you get on a plane, right? And it makes so much sense. And I think that I know that I myself have been guilty of that, where a lot of times I would just kind of focus my energies on my team and on my new challengers coming in, that if I go a day or two and I'm not eating or not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I just kind of push it to the side, right? But I've realized how important that is, because you have to set that example. And if you're not feeling good about what you're doing without you even realizing it, you're going to project that, and people will pick up on that, right? It's vital in terms of running an effective challenge group is to make sure that you are working on yourself first. So when I wake up, what I used to do was I would go into my challenge group first. I used to do that. But I no longer do that. I tap into my personal development. I disconnect. I'll post, my daily post, because I like to post early in the morning, and then I'll pull out. I won't go into my challenge group. So I'll do my personal development and then my workout. That's my time is my workout in the morning. So I take care of myself first, right? So make sure that you guys are doing that. We're in a relationship building business. This is really important because I am a firm believer of the importance of establishing good relationships with your challengers and your prospects. So what does that mean exactly? Now, we've all heard of the term forming, right? And how when you first connect with somebody on Instagram or on Facebook, we go through this whole script where we're asking them questions, but the forming doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop. You sign them up and you continue to learn about them, to make those connections with them, to interview them, to get to know their families, to get to know their occupations. And there's so many ways of doing that. How well do you know your challengers? How well do you know what their goals are? Understanding that their goals might change. They might have set particular goals at the beginning of their journey, and then maybe somewhere along the line, something changed. So how much do you continue to check in with them? In terms of like their family and occupations and all of that, what I do is I believe that I put that in here. I put my new challengers in chats. And like last month was a particularly good month for me. So I have 3 different chats for all of my challengers for the month of March. So for the last one, I just paired up 2 of them. The one prior was like 4 girls at a time. And I try to do that as much as possible. I try to set up the girls that start at around the same time. And what I do is that I encourage them to introduce themselves and to share in the chat, because a lot of times, like, I used to just kind of put them in the chat and be like, hey, I created this so that I can monitor you and see how you're doing and for you guys to kind of check in. And they wouldn't talk to each other, I noticed. So what I started doing was I would say, hey, can you guys kind of share a little bit about yourselves in here? And, if I'm not here, I encourage you all to support each other and to check in with each other here on a daily basis. So a lot of times I got these chats going, and even if I'm not in there, they're talking back and forth amongst each other. So in a sense, I've created accountability groups in small chats. So when they come into the challenge group, they know each other. They already know, and they are quicker to respond to each other's posts and to look for each other. So make sure that you are, not only are you getting to know them, but you're helping them to get to know each other. And it's the best way to do it is if you end up signing up 1 or 2 people at a time, set them up. And for the most part, they're not going to say no. What I tend to do is ask them first if it's okay, because not everybody's going to be okay with it. So I do say, hey, is it okay if I put you in a chat with, these other girls that are starting with you kind of at around the same time?
Estoy durmiendo, sí.
Oh, Andrea, can you go on mute? She's on a phone call. So I do that with the chats. I ask them permission first, and then I just kind of put them in there. So another way to do that, to establish that, continue to build that relationship with your challengers, is post engaging posts in your groups, and even humor. So I like to post a lot of questions. I want to post this one again, but I think it was about a month or 2 ago. I posted something about, can you all share your occupations? And oh my God, that post, there was like 30 comments in there. And it was just, to me, it was amazing just to see that there were so many professional women in there, and that we are so much more alike than anything else. And it was nice to see that some of the girls were connected because they saw that they are in the same occupation or in the same field. right? So it was just another way of me. I'm very intentional with my posts. So it was just another way of me, how do you call that? Nurturing relationships within my challenge group, right? So engaging posts. And then it helps me to get to know them, because if you start to sign all these people up, you tend to kind of not remember, or you kind of forget, unless you're really good with Teamsy and you can go in there and type a little something about, hey, I've started doing that actually, is where I'll say, a teacher, has 4 children, very busy, kind of like a little brief something about that person so that I remember. But anyway, sometimes it's hard to track. So it's kind of a nice way also of you getting to know them better, right? When you post these engaging posts within your challenge group. So another point in terms of relationship building and making sure that you understand the goals of your challengers is to help them develop those clear, measurable, attainable goals. That's really important. And you know what I've noticed? A lot of my new people don't like to create goals. They don't like to give me pictures. They don't like to give me their measurements. I know the chat is in there, guys, but I'm going to wait till the end, okay? But if you guys have questions, unmute yourselves or okay? But they don't like to do it. They really don't. And sometimes you kind of have to come after them for this information and let them know that this is important for their success. And I think that it has nothing to do with that they don't want to do it. It's just that they're embarrassed. They don't want to take pictures. They don't want to have to share anywhere. So I am sure to let them know, listen, you don't have to share your pictures and your measurements in the group. However, this is just another way of you holding yourself accountable, of you putting yourself out there. And this is really for you. It's not for me. You setting these goals and writing down what it is that you'd like to be in 30 days. It's for you. It's not for me. So all this to say, team, is that make sure that you are holding their hand and that you are being, we're not being judgmental, and we're being patient with them and trying to really understand and put yourself in their shoes. And maybe think about the start of your own journey. And when your coach asked for that stuff and how you were hesitant and you kind of made it seem like you forgot to do it or whatever, right? It was probably because you felt bad or you didn't want to or whatever. So always put yourselves in their shoes, and make sure that you get those goals and then you get those pictures and all of that. That's super, super important. And let them know that it's for them, that it's not for you. Okay. Let's see. Helps create trust, which leads to transformation. Okay. So another good point here in terms of building relationships with your challengers is that the transformations that come out of your group. Now, a lot of us here are professionals. We have degrees, right? You've heard of the term credentials. Your transformations that come out of your groups are your credentials. That is proof that your groups work. It's proof that what you are a part of works. So how important it is to create those relationships with these challengers so that they give you transformations, right? They learn to trust you. They learn to trust the process. You're definitely going to have those that fall, and you're going to have those that return their packages. I get them, it's going to happen. It's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. However, if you know from the bottom of your heart that you've done everything that you could to get them started right, if something happens and they don't provide, they don't follow through with the transformation, you know that you did your best, right? You're not going to feel bad because it was really on them. They decided for whatever reason to not, follow through. So on your end, make sure that you do whatever you can to help this challenger get started right and to establish that relationship. And always, always keep in mind, let me tell you this, that whenever I sign up a challenger and I put them in the group, my radar and this goes back to the conversation. I'm going to take it back to what we talked about, Tony and I. My radar is completely up immediately. I am on a lookout for potential coaches as soon as I sign somebody up, because what I've been doing differently, and this pretty much started last year in October. Carl Deichler and the corporate team introduced this whole vital process. If you guys are not familiar with it, let's maybe bump up some of the posts on Fit, because I know that I posted a lot about it. But it basically means going back to basics and really, really focusing on getting people results. Really, really wholeheartedly putting all of your heart into helping challengers fall in love with the products. That's what it's really about. Whether or not you sign up a coach, whether or not you sign up a challenger that has the potential to be a coach, you just want to make sure that we are bringing them in. I mean, what I do is I've been bringing in most of my people as challengers and converting them into coaches. However, you're definitely going to have some people that sign up as a coach right away. But the idea of that, the concept of that, is to take it back to basics. Because when the company did some research, they were discovering that a lot of people and this can be the topic of a whole other call. A lot of people that were coming in as coaches were dropping out and were not being converted into working coaches. The transition wasn't as smooth as maybe, they thought it would be. I don't know if this is making sense, but what happened was that the company started to look at that process a little bit differently, and they introduced the vital process, meaning that we are kind of more encouraged to sign people up as challengers first and then convert them into coaches. However, with that being said, you have to have a good transition plan. So like for me personally, my goal is I convert 3 customers a month into coaches. And I try to have at least four coaches, if possibly more, per month sign up. I don't know if that makes sense. But the reason behind that is that I'm just going to use me for an example. I would get people last year that would come to me because they wanted to work the business. So I would sign them up as a coach immediately. But somewhere along the line, because I was so focused on helping them get started with the business, that the whole falling in love with Beachbody aspect of it and falling in love and getting results kind of the focus wasn't really there. So a lot of those coaches honestly did not work out. Right? So what we want to do is just take it back to basics and help people fall in love with Shakeology, fall in love with the challenge groups, and get a transformation. So what I do different now is if someone signs up as a coach, or if somebody signs up as a challenger with potential coach attributes, I make sure that they get a transformation first before I even talk to them about the business, even if they tell me that they want in on the business. Because I've gotten a lot of those people that want to work the business, and guess what? They're not posting, they're not drinking their Shakeology every day, or I see something on their wall that's just off. And you know what? I'm not moving forward with that person in terms of the business, because if they can't give me at least a 3-week transformation, at least get through the cleanse, or see some results within 2 weeks, then you know what? I'm going to slow it down. And if we want to revisit the business a month or 2 down the line, that's perfectly fine. But I'm not going to put them in a Coach Basics if they can't even post in my challenge group. I'm just not. Because if you think about it, and I've taken a very good, long, hard look at my organization, and my rock star coaches, they fell in love with Shakeology and challenge groups first before really working the business. I mean, that can be 2 to 3 weeks in. And I honestly think that applies to a lot of us here, is that for the most part, you guys fell in love with the idea of being in a group, right? And you saw results, at least within the first 2 or 3 weeks. So you were a product of the product, and it helped you, it strengthened, or it made you feel like, you know what, I can do this. I can coach because I see that it works. right? So that's the whole idea of the vital process. I don't want to go too much into it. I know there was a lot of information shared last year on this, and if you guys want to know more about it. But anyway, so coaches, like when people come into the challenge groups, I always treat them as a potential until they prove me otherwise. You know, let me see here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the coaching aspect of it towards the end, but another awesome thing that sometimes I forget to do, but I've been doing a lot more often, is make sure that you recognize your people in your challenge group for anything. And I will share that my huge pet peeve is when somebody posts and there's no comments underneath it. If somebody went out of their way to post in your challenge group, throw them a little heart. I know that we're busy, guys. I know for me personally, I have a lot of people in my challenge group, and I'm guilty of once in a while I forget to comment, but I try my best to go back. And if they post, even if it's just their food, way to go, looks good, delish, heart, love it. It doesn't matter what it is, because if your challenger has gone out of their way to post, please acknowledge them. Because they're doing something, they're going out of their way to post. And you may think that that's a little thing, but to them it means a lot. Okay. So, doing kind of fun shout outs, like when your girls complete their cleanse, or even if they just started. I've been doing this recently where if I have one or two of them starting a cleanse, like I'll just kind of post out there, hey, so-and-so started their cleanse. They need your support? Because they're not going to put that out there. And you know that 3-day cleanse is freaking hard. That shit is hard. I hate the cleanse. I hate it. And I'm sorry, but it's hard. And I let them know, hey, this is a challenging cleanse. So that but what I tell them is it's a challenging cleanse, but you can do it and you will see some nice results. So that's why I like to go in the challenge group and just kind of post a little blurb or something. Go to what's the name of that app? I use it all the time. Word Swag. It's so freaking awesome, so quick. You just put a little blurb there. Hey, I need your help. Can you got our 3-day cleansers, or whatever you want to say. And then tag them on it just to say that they're starting and that they need support. If you want to shout them out for 30 days completed, whatever you want to shout them out for, do it, right? And remember that it's part of our 4 vital behaviors now, is the recognition. And I know that we all need to get better at it, and do it. Remind yourself to do it, okay? The smallest positive acknowledgement can help build up confidence. Remember, don't ever think that you are above, or that you are, that you've been there, done that. Always stay in the shoes of a baby coach, stay in the shoes of a challenger. And that's kind of a light bulb kind of moment that I've had in the past few months, because what I used to do is, when all these trainings and stuff were being made available, I would think to myself, oh, that's the same stuff that I learned before. Oh, I already did a Coach Basics. I'm not going to do that again. But guess what? Recently, when I put myself through a Coach Basics, or when I tap into any of these new trainings, I realized that you always have to stay humble, and you always have to treat yourself like you are still learning, you're still evolving, because that's going to make you more relatable. It's going to make you more relatable to your new coaches, and it's going to make you more relatable to your new challengers. If they feel like you understand what they're going through, right? So do you understand? Does this make sense what I'm saying to you? So I don't care if you've been 2 years into this, 6 months into this, you may have a banging body. You may have gone through, 4 rounds of quarter force. I want you to pretend like it's day 1 when you sign up your challengers. When you have your new coach, I want you to pretend like you just started, because I want you to jump into their shoes. That's the only way they're going to connect with you. And take those baby steps with your challenger, with your new coaches, right? So always keep in mind, Smallest positive acknowledgement. And I know that like it sounds silly, or it may sound like I'm sounding like a parent, but you know what I love to say? I'm proud of you. And I say it all the time to my challenges, girl, I'm proud of you. I like that. I'm proud of you. And they love it. They really do. They may not tell you that they do. And I know these are grown adults, but just a little something just to show them that you're acknowledging them, because the reality is that when somebody signs up to your team, they look up to you guys. They really do. They're not going to tell you this, but they do. Because do you know how many coaches we have in our network? How many coaches? I don't know if anybody knows. 500,000? But you know what? They chose Natalie. They chose Tony. Why did they choose you to go onto your team and not another coach? Because they're looking up to you, right? So when you acknowledge them for everything that they do, trust me, they love it. Okay? So be really connected to that. Be really in tune with that. If you have a challenger that's going through something difficult in their lives, don't be afraid to reach out to them and send them a private message. Hey girl, I've noticed that you haven't posted. Go on their wall. Make sure that you know what they're going through, because a lot of times they're not going to tell you, right? They're just going to disappear and not post. So it's your job to go and look for them. Go onto their IG, see what's happening with them. Because a lot of times pride or embarrassment will not allow them to come to you and tell you what's really happening. And you can't judge just because they're not in the group. She dropped out and she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. No, you need to go and find out what is going on with that person and reconnect them to their goals and why they decided to join you in the first place. Because they didn't decide to join Beachbody. They could go on an infomercial and purchase some products and join Beachbody. They decided to sign up with you, okay, for a reason. Excuse me. So, okay, always comment on challenges posts. Also, make your challenge groups fun. Give out gifts. You know what I've been doing lately that seems to work, and it's helping in terms of my retention, Shakeology retention, is that before they get that email sent to them 1 week prior, I'm sending them samples. I'm no longer sending samples I used to send samples to people who did not yet sign up with me. I'm not doing that. When you sign up with me and you're in my chat, then I go into the chat and I say, hey, would you like some samples? And they always say yes. And then I make it a point once every 2 weeks or so, I send out a shipment of 5-6 envelopes full of samples, of Shakeology samples, because that helps them before their next order comes in to then make a decision if they want to try a different flavor. Because as much as we may think like, let them get it and they're going to get a 30-day money back, blah, 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 they're going to return it. No, that's a pain in the ass. Why not introduce them to new flavors and help them decide before their next shipment comes? So guys, invest in sample packs. Invest, okay? This is tax write-off. And do your little gifts. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys already do this. Your little gifts, your contests, your prizes. People love that kind of stuff. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Like, I don't care. Go to the dollar store, like whatever, like buy little water bottles, like send them a little something. If you have a rank advancement on your team, if you have someone, I don't necessarily do it for like signing up your first challenger, but for rank advancement, I like to do that. If somebody has had great success in terms of completing a round, or if I do like a little fun contest in the group and somebody wins, I do like to send prizes for that kind of stuff. But get creative with it and just have fun with it. Okay. So I'll open it up at the end for questions. So just very quickly here, customer to coach conversion. I know that I talked a little bit about that. This is really, really important because I want you all to start seeing great coaches start as challengers. Okay. And I talked about that. So whatever experience your challengers have in your group is going to be an extension or a feeling of what they think is coming if they decide to become a coach. So what does that mean? So if you give them an amazing experience as a challenger and you encourage the sense of family and support within your challenge group, when you invite them or when you see that coach potential in them and you want them to be a coach, it's going to be a no-brainer for them because they're going to feel like, okay, I'm going to now be part of this bigger family, right? that transition will be a little bit easier. So make sure that you're giving them that experience, identifying, we talked about that, potential coaches, shouting them out, and use the customer to coach conversion guide. If you guys don't know what that is, it's in your back office. It literally gives you the verbiage of when you see a potential in your group, you can actually make comments on their post. Like if you see someone who's maybe helping, some of the other people on their own, or if you see somebody who's posting a lot. I recently identified someone who was doing that, and I asked her to be a part of my sneak peek from the other night, and I'm actually using the coach script on her, and it's working, and I'm engaging her. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, the coach script. I am guilty of using it once or twice. I felt like it didn't work, so I didn't use it again. But guess what? It did work, because I used it on people that never followed through. But that is the point of that. And these are two different things. The customer to coach conversion guide and the coach script are two different documents. Okay. So the intention of the coach script is to plant seeds and open up that person to a conversation in terms of their mindset. So if you are using this coach script and you get people who don't follow through, guess what? They're not meant to be on your team. They're not. So it actually did its job. The idea, and I didn't think that. I was like, well, with this coach script, they're supposed to want to be a coach and they're supposed to sign up. So I used it a few times and then I stopped. And then I had a conversation recently with another coach, and they were like, no, Denise, it actually did what it was supposed to do. If those people didn't become coaches, it's because the coach script worked. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Its intention is to weed people out and to draw in those people that really want this, right? So the customer to coach, can you guys all go on mute, please? So the customer to coach conversion guide is the document that you use that's in the back office for your challengers, where you can kind of plant little seeds within your challenge group. And then the coach script, if you guys don't know what that is, we can tag you on that, is what you use when somebody actually comes to you and says, hey, I'm interested in the coaching, okay? So my next point here, which is something that I talked earlier, it was in my conversation with Tony, is that in terms of talking about the coaching, the coaching to me is so ingrained into my fitness and into why I started all of this in the first place. And honestly, I talk about it all the time because it's just part of my life. It's very natural for me. So I can go live in my challenge group about nutrition, and guess what? I'm talking about the coaching. I can get somebody on the phone and it's a prospect, and guess what? I'm talking about the coaching very, very naturally. And what I do is I don't say, hey, you want to be a coach? It's more like I talk about how the coaching really helps me in terms of holding myself accountable to my fitness. Because if I wasn't a coach and if I wasn't part of this community, I don't know that I would have stuck with my fitness and would have kept the weight off for all this time. So you see the relationship? And I actually use that with someone who decided to actually cancel on me. And she was a working coach. And I actually used that with her. I gave her a few months and she must have thought about it. And now she wants to come back as a coach because she sees that also applies to her. So what does that mean exactly? Think about this. I want you guys to think about this as I'm sharing this. If you were not a coach, think about it. Where would your life be? Maybe in terms of your health and fitness, maybe in terms of your nutrition, maybe in terms of your finances. Where would your life be if you were not a coach? So I think about that and talk about that every day, every single day. It's very natural. Can you guys go on mute? Someone's thinking
it's Halima.
I can't tell. Okay.
Halima, can you go on mute?
All right, I got her. Okay. So I want you guys to think about that in terms of your your conversations with prospects. You can, the more that you do this, you'll get better at it. It'll just be so ingrained in you that it's going to come out in natural conversation. So I put it out there. I plant seeds in a very tactful way, right? In terms of what the coaching has done for me. Now, I understand that a lot of you, this is not your full time. So, you know, for me, it's easy to talk about how I've been able to stay home, but everybody here has some kind of financial story that they can share, something that Beachbody has done for them. I don't care how much you're earning. Okay. So, you know, that's why we often talk about going back to that, revisiting that, write that down. You know, how has your life changed since you've become a coach? It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. I feel like we have to constantly put on our baby coach shoes, put on our baby challenger shoes, and go back to when we started and what did we feel when we got that first check. That is what you're going to talk about when you're talking to anybody. It doesn't matter. Again, be tactful about it, right? And I like to call it like splashing little nuggets, planting seeds everywhere, right? When you see, maybe for example, a rock star challenger, and maybe you go on their walls and you see that they're talking about, you know, maybe they put their financial stuff out there, or they're talking about being stressed with their jobs. What I've been doing in terms of targeting my avatar is that I'm really targeting people that have worked in my profession. And I've been able to do that. I have a few challengers now that actually are social workers and case managers. And what is the number one thing that I used to struggle with when I was a social worker, case manager, is my stress level was freaking high. That shit was bad. So what am I using now with these people that you know, that I'm kind of eyeballing is their stress level at work. You can talk about that, you know, and how nice would it be to earn this additional income that maybe will help them reduce some of that stress. Maybe they can cut down their hours at work. Maybe they can have a little bit of freedom or a little bit of financial freedom that will allow them to do the things, you know, that maybe they thought they couldn't do. So just be thoughtful about this, guys. I know that a lot of you, you know, may not come easy to have these conversations, but trust me, the more that you put yourself out there and just make it part of who you are, it'll be easy to have these types of conversations with people. And those that are drawn to it will stick. And those that are not, because you got to keep in mind, guys, this is not for everybody. This is hard work. Being an entrepreneur, being a coach, being a business owner is work. You choose to be a business owner. You choose to be a coach. A lot of us here, you guys have full-time jobs or part-time jobs. So you're choosing to do this on the side or do this as a full-time income, but you don't have to. It's a choice. So you got to keep in mind that when you talk to people, you, as long as you can make that connection with them and help them identify those areas in their lives where they're struggling, this might be a solution to them. So, you know, come across it that way. I know we kind of went off a little bit on talking about coaches, but you know, like I said, my radar is always up in terms of my challengers, because always keep in mind that good coaches start off as really, really good challengers, rock star challengers, right? So always keep that in mind. Okay. So my closing, be genuine, right? Be yourself. When you're making connections with people, always realize that it's about them. It's not about you. Yes, we're going to share little tidbits about our lives, but if your social media is solid, and I know that a lot of us being new, we have to develop that. Of course, it's a skill. You have to get better at it. If you feel that you're not really good at, you know, or if you're not, it's not naturally going to come to you, it's something that you have to build, then work on it. Make sure that you do whatever you need to do to build your social media skills. So if your social media backs you up, you don't have to share a lot about yourselves when you get a prospect on the phone. You can make it all about them, right? And even if your social media isn't very solid right now, you really should make it more about them and not about you. However, get better at putting your stories out on social media, okay? And I can't stress this enough, and I know that it's the number one thing that a lot of us struggle with, PD, PD, PD. I just can't. You're not going to elevate. Your business is going to remain stagnant, and you're going to have a hard time elevating if you're not engaging in personal development every day, even if it's just 10 minutes, guys, because it's going to help you in all areas. It really will. It's going to help you in terms of strengthening your social media and putting your story out there. It's going to help you in terms of becoming more confident and being genuine and being able to talk to people about the coaching. It's going to help you in all aspects. All right. So, putting yourself out there as much as possible. And let me share, just briefly, I know that we have a lot of busyness going on with Facebook stories and the IG stories and the Snapchat and just a lot of different platforms, the lives. Okay, this is my take on those platforms. Okay, first of all, brand new coaches, master one platform at a time. Okay, if you're not comfortable or if you're just getting comfortable with posting on Facebook, get comfortable with that first, right? You're going to be uncomfortable, step out your comfort zone, and strengthen your social media skills on Facebook. Then move on to something else. A wonderful way to become more confident in terms of going live and doing all that good stuff is to do it in your challenge groups. Like, I welcome you guys, like new coaches and you girls that are running your challenge groups and you see those rock star potentials in your groups. Ask them to, hey, you did that really well the other day. Do you mind going live? I ask all the time. It doesn't mean that it happens, but I try because it still helps to build some confidence there. And going live and creating videos is where it's at, guys. And if you are not keeping up with the IG stories and all that stuff and going live, you're going to fall behind because that is where it's at. And if you're not trying to catch up with the way that social media is changing, you are going to be lagging behind. All right. So my advice, get yourself good and solid on Facebook. If you have a good social media presence already on Facebook and Instagram, then you need to step out your comfort zone. You have to. And you can start in your challenge groups. Go to your coach. Your upline coach will help you. Maybe you can do like a little mini interview or whatever. Get yourselves comfortable with that. So my whole take on it is that whatever works for one person doesn't work for the other. I love Snapchat, guys, and I gave it a chance. I know I had some of you guys, Andrea, some of you were like, get on Snapchat. And I did it, but guess what? I do it for fun, for the stupid filters, but my audience is not on Snapchat. I had too many coaches on there. However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't work for some of you guys. You guys, I've heard of other coaches on the team that close deals on Snapchat. And that's awesome. That's awesome because you have to keep in mind that everybody has a different audience, right? My audience tends to be over 35, over 40. They don't like Snapchat. I don't have too many people on Snapchat. However, IG stories is working beautifully for me. I love, love, love IG stories. And I've gone live on Instagram a few times too. And I haven't taken advantage of it too much, but lately I've been doing more of that, going live on Instagram. The only thing is that when you go live on Instagram, it freaking disappears. I know, it kind of sucks.
Not anymore. You can save it. You can save it on IG.
How?
Yeah.
Did I not update?
It was a notification I saw that said you can now click save.
Oh my God.
You can save it on your phone, but you cannot leave the video over there. Once you just finish your video, once you finish talking, that's it.
Oh.
So that's why I don't like the live videos. That's it. If you go at a time that people are not paying attention or they're building your audience for you, it's lost, whatever you said.
But you can save it to your phone, you said?
Yeah, you can save it to your phone. But then what are you going to do with that? Another video?
No, maybe you can upload it. You can upload it to IG.
You can upload whatever you want.
Okay, so I'm going to try that. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe you can save it and then just like upload it to IG stories. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever it is, my whole take on the whole live thing is that do it. Like do your IG stories, do your face. I love the Facebook Live now. But you know what I'm doing? Since I noticed that I have different audience on Instagram that I do on Facebook, instead of doing like a double work, whatever, you know, when you go when you do IG stories, it automatically saves it to your phone. So what I do is I go to my Facebook stories and I throw it in there to save time, right? So anyway, the point of the IG stories and the Facebook stories is really to fill in the gaps. So you may have a good social media presence, you know, like with your pictures and your posts, but the intention of that is really to fill in the gaps. So you guys, if you guys are not already using it, you're totally missing out. All right, you're totally going to fall behind. So get comfortable with it. I know it's going to take practice. I know it's not going to be comfortable, but we are all about doing the uncomfortable, right? Challenging yourselves. With that being said, I want to open it up. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover. You guys have any questions? You guys can unmute yourselves, or whoever wants to talk.
Well, thank you, Denise, for all of those bullets. Like you jogged my memory and reminded me of some things that I could do, because I definitely feel like my challengers have that issue where they don't do what it is that I would like them to do, although I feel that I'm doing the things that I would like them to do, like posting and stuff. So I think a suggestion or an idea that I could do is have my older challengers post their old before photos. Because it's like, I don't know, maybe I have a lot of older people in there that just kind of like do the norm and do the regular thing. And they're already on top of what their game is supposed to be. So new people coming in are just so stubborn. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I went live, I said, you know what, I believe it's my fault, actually, guys. I said, you know, you're probably getting this from me because I'm attracting people who are like me, who do things on their own and, you know, do it behind closed doors and nobody's really knowing that it's happening. And boom, poof, out comes a new transformed person. So yeah, that's something to think about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a cool way to do that is just create like for Transformation Tuesday or Throwback Thursday, just create, you start it. So just say, hey, can you drop your transformations below? I need help from my old challengers, or those of you that have been here for a while, could you drop your transformations? Yeah. And people love to share that stuff. So yeah, or like what's the one that we used to use? Drop below how much weight you've lost so far. You know, and then the girls would drop 50 pounds, 40 pounds, 30 pounds, and you guys would kind of, my old coaches, you guys would kind of chime in, and that motivates people. And if we're in each other's groups, like we can totally even get that started. Like just come to us, like share. Like I know that a lot of you guys are, you know, we're in each other's groups. So if you guys need help, say, hey, you know, like if your group is kind of a little bit quiet, say, hey, Denise, can, you know, why don't you, can you help and chime in and drop your, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like anything to just create hype. That makes sense? You know, I think it's so easy for us to just fall into just the everyday and just the fact that we've been doing this for some time. But I just feel like for me, I've been revived in that sense where I feel like I just never want to forget where I came from, ever. We can't ever forget that. Because once we start to act as if we are here and they're here, they're not going to connect with us. They're really not. That's not really being genuine. That's not really that's not really us getting to know who they are and where, you know, where their challenges are. Sally's a prime example. Sally's one of my new coaches. I've literally taken myself back to how I felt when I first started. And I'm in there and I let them know, hey, it's okay if this happens and that happens, which I wasn't really doing that before. I thought, hey, this person signed up as a coach. All right, let's go. Come on, get it together. You know, and that's not the case. Like, we can't treat our new coaches that way because not everybody's going to get it right away. Everybody's different. Some people will take longer than others. Some people come in with different challenges than other people. Some people already come in as already having been a business owner, you know, and already had that mindset. For some others, this is completely brand new. Like, the majority of us, a few were business owners. Majority of us we're not ever business owners. So we can't treat everybody as if where we're at, and especially us that have been doing this for some time, that we already have a certain level of knowledge. And I think that a lot of times we forget and we think that they should know coming in what we know. So how do we take those steps to step back into those baby coach shoes and baby challenger shoes? The best way that we did it too was this whole Quarter Force thing when we started in January. That was fucking awesome. Oh, I cursed. People are gonna watch this on YouTube, right? I don't care. It was freaking awesome that we were able to take it back to like taking pictures of ourselves. You know, like that to me totally brought me back to how freaking uncomfortable I felt. I felt uncomfortable taking pictures. I was like, okay, if I stand this way, will this chicho, will this fat not show? Like, you know, so taking it back to that, like, I feel like I know that the Quarter Force, you know, that's over, but maybe getting ourselves back into another challenge with another program where we're also taking first aid pictures and all that stuff. Like, I don't want to ever forget where we came from, ever. Hi, Adira, you're so quiet. She's so cute. Your daughter's like your twin. I just saw her. All right, ladies. So do any of you guys have anything you want to share or any questions or anything? I hope this was helpful.
Share something, please, somebody. I want to hear something. A concern or something.
Are you talking to me, Denise?
No, Halima, but unless you want to say something.
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Was this helpful? Halima, I'm going to put her on the spot. Was this helpful?
It was. I'm struggling, but it was helpful. I'm not I want to get comfortable with the videos. I like videos. Tony is awesome with that. But she makes it really funny. So I don't have that kind of personality. I think that's what I struggle with. I feel like I'm just a plain Jane kind of person. So if you could find like your niche as who you are, you know what I'm saying? You could kind of bring it out. So, but a lot of things you said, touch base and touch home and stuff. So.
Good stuff. And that's a good point, Halima, because you know that what I think that we do a lot without being intentional about it, without realizing is that we subconsciously compare ourselves to others. And you have to understand that, you know, Tony's been doing this for some time. So Tony's videos used to suck. Just kidding. No, but we all used to suck at some point. Like, we didn't know what we were doing, right? But we put ourselves out there and we just got better at it. And in terms of what you have to offer, like, all of us here are very unique and we have a lot to offer. We have our own unique likes and dislikes and talents. And it's, you know, what's crazy is that there's something that I felt like I needed to go back to, because I'm a freaking sarcastic. I have sarcastic humor. And for some time I stopped posting about it. And I like the freaking minions and I like stupid shit sometimes. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to that because I like that. It makes me laugh. And you know, if you want to draw in people who are like you, it doesn't matter if you think this and this and that. Like, that's who you want on your team. Put it out there. Because you guys are amazing. You know, and again, that comes also with personal development, because sometimes we don't always know that we're amazing. And we have to kind of figure it out along the way. And sometimes even our coach or someone on the team points it out, or you're a bad, right? We didn't always know we were badasses, but we are. All right, guys. So I do have to go though, because my kids will wait for me until I tuck them in, and their bedtime is 9 o'clock, and they're cranky if they sleep later. Little cranky monsters. So thank you guys for being on. I really appreciate it. But if you guys have any questions afterwards, you can just message me. All righty. Thank you for being on. Any questions here? No, we're good. Okay. Let me know later if you have questions. Bye.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Good night.